Today's video is sponsored by the free Eagles app for War Thunder. Download the app in the video description below and use the code shown on screen to get 10 golden eagles right now. Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard the best French plane that I have flown so far. The 84 Skyraider. I'm not joking, I'm not making this up, and I will prove it to you in this video. I think this plane is fun, it's awesome, and it's misplayed by so many players. It's such a potent plane, and many people use it as an attacker to strafe AAA positions, going for the bomb and rocket modules first, instead of going for the performance upgrades. And then they just get a whole lot of score points and are first on the leaderboard by having strafed 10 artillery positions or AAA positions, which have no influence on the outcome of the battle. And then they think they have done their job, but they didn't. They wasted a good plane, they fed a kill to the Germans, potentially, because that is the only nation that you apparently can fight with the French, which is strange, but I have not faced too many Italians, and I never went up against the Russians or the British or the, Americans. And that is, or hell, even the Japanese. And that is kind of where my experience with this plane comes from. It wouldn't be that easy to let this plane perform in the role that I will present you if it wouldn't be against the Germans. So people will criticize me for that, but you're my stats, so sue me, whatever. I know what I'm talking about. So to put this into perspective, okay, this is an attacker with a kill to death ratio of way above 2, so it's nearly 2.5, and a 73% win ratio in 19 battles. It's not a fluke, and I have not destroyed a single ground unit. Let's compare this to the SO 4050 Voiture 2A. Okay, because I have played 13 battles in it and I have not won a lot of them, so I do not influence the outcome of the battle despite having a higher kill to death ratio of exactly 3, and this is the point that I want to make. With this plane I have not even scratched the surface of the insane potential, but I just do well in it. Because of experience, because of I know how limited German fighters are in their dogfighting skills, or not skills, but how they can actually use their planes and so on and so forth. Now let's have a look at this scene. I got attacked by multiple Germans. I could have fought against 2 of them, but then somebody came out of the clouds, shot half my wing off, and I was forced to dive away. Now I can do this with up to 800 kilometers an hour, and I have air brakes that just work fine, although they rip off at higher speeds, at least the left part, but then you still have 2 gigantic flaps, and you can pull out of the dive. You do not really have this massive lockup that German fighters have to go through at higher speeds near the top speed, unlike this plane. And eventually they gave up, and I can return to base and repair, rearm, and join the fight again. So with half a wing, I'm just saying, if this would be a German fighter or a German attacker, I'd be dead. Just to put this into perspective, then I want to just tell you about the income of the plane. It's decent. However, it's so much less frustrating if you use it in the fighter role because of a single fact. And that is the score points and the leaderboard system in War Thunder. That is really deceiving. So your score, your amount of score points that you have acquired in a match tells you nothing about the silver lines and also the research points that you gain. It depends on the target you destroyed and also the difference between the score points you get for a single AAA or artillery position and actually a fighter shot down. So there are people, just for example on the Advanced to the Rhine RRB map, that just go for the USSR Frighten cars, or however they're called it. They drop 1 bomb, get like 20 to 30 ground units with 1 bomb drop, have like 5,000 score points, and then just wonder why they get practically nothing for it. And so this is the big discrepancy between the score point system and your actual reward. One lesson that I learned from the 82 Skyraider is that you know, it's better to shoot down planes. It's better, it's cheaper and more efficient, you win more games and it's less frustration. Because with the 82 Skyraider, I was a good boy. You know, I went for the ground units and I strafed the hell out of them. And then it took me ages to unlock anything, and I was so dependent on the bomb and rocket upgrades that I never went for the, well, performance upgrades. And that, well, was kind of frustration. A lot of frustration. I had no chance against jets back in the days. If you remember, Jingles featured one of my replays where I won against 3 or 4 German jets at the end because they crashed and I shot the last Horton 229 down. This video is actually one of the videos where I played more or less on a regular basis in Air RB, where I switched from arcade to realism or realistic. So there is some context for you, and that is where I really began to love the 82 Skyraider, because it was so unique once you adapted to the new playstyle. I think I have one video where I shot down 6 German fighters with it in the 82 Skyraider, and the 84 Skyraider is just that slightly bit better at it. And I mean, you can boom and zoom with this. Once somebody is below you, you're not slow. You're not the average attacker, and people really misidentify it. And then again, this is just a fighter role that nobody with the right mind in his head would use it for. Well, I do, but I guess that's a different thing. And and I must stress this out. I warn you to do the same thing. But I want you also to notice this when you see a 84 Skyraider in the sky, you know. It's a very good plane if you know how to use it. And yeah, that was a bad aim, but you know, I'm not perfect. So I can duel multiple enemies at once. I'm like a very fat Zero. Kind of. And this plane can take a beating, it can do a lot of teamwork, and yeah, ultimately I love it. But I have to warn you to do the same. Don't try this at home, because I know the flying paths, I know how enemy aircraft behave, what they can do, because I've played them myself. I'm a very cocky guy, and I'm a bit overconfident in this plane. Yet this was so much fun. I guess if other people play this and try to use it in the same role, they often will find themselves in a very disfavorable position. But I know how to deal with such positions because I've played German planes myself, if that makes sense. So I know what I'm talking about, because I've played the 82 Skyraider in hundreds of battles in Air RB, literally. I know how to not play it and how to not have fun in it. But I also know how to have fun in it, and how your upgrade way is just awesome. And yes, I have put a talisman on this plane because I think this will be my favorite premium plane for the French. I've talked about the SO 4050 2A voiture that I think I consider to put a talisman on it, but then again, it's broken. I don't like it. It's, you know, not something that I would want to recommend. And the chat meta is just broken. The SO 8000 Narval is nothing like the G55S for the Italians, so you have to rely on your teammates. And once this plane gets spammed out, you do not have a lot of things going for you. So this plane is ultimately a plane that I think I can carry. And if I would use the insane amount of ground pounding potential that this plane has, with heat rockets, multiple of them, so not like just 12 like the Skyraider, this is just something that you can carry matches. So for example, if the enemy would be an American bomber climbing to 10,000 meters and so on, like it happened to me yesterday when I flew a few German sorties, then I thought to myself, please can I shoot myself, you know. Somebody was climbing to space and I could do nothing on Norway. With this plane, I could land, could get a big weapon loadout could rocket and bomb the destroyers and cruisers, and on a normal map, you know, all the pillboxes and tanks, they're easy. With German planes, it's not so easy, you know. So to switch from the fighter to the attacker is not kind of the same. So, and there you could see how I actually retained the energy out of a dive, went up and shot down a bomber that was going for the, well, bombing points on by flying on the bottom, and zoomed up to kill one that is on top. This plane is not bad, and you will definitely hear it from players that, oh my god, this plane is so bad, this and that, and sometimes players miss the point. And one of the features that I really like is the precise handling. It is sluggish, it is kind of slow in its rolling speed, but when I want the plane to go to a certain point, or to aim at a certain point, it can do it. As a big, fat, heavy attacker, you know, against German dedicated fighters. And this is where my criticism for German fighters comes in, because they behave like shit. That's the truth. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry if you're offended by the truth on the battlefields or in the skies. So one big disadvantage is then when we talk about the following scene. Okay, I misjudged where the enemy German fighter will go, and he had a very lucky shot into me. I actually wanted to turn the other way round, but the plane didn't follow me. He set me on fire, and I extinguished it, just because reasons, you know. This is again one of the good sides. And I'm still flying, I'm losing fuel, but I don't care. And let's see how it's going, okay? So I got 1 kill so far. Chasing down this guy. Bit of long range spraying, because I have the ammunition for it. My engine now is dead, okay? Now I'm turning around, just in a moment. So I'm already dying, my engine is dead, and in just a few seconds I would crash anyways. But this is the guy that set me on fire and killed my engine. And he's going for the head-on, and we kill each other. And that was a trade-off that you also can do in this plane. Remember, 420s that hit really hard. I think they hit harder than German MG151s, which are more difficult to actually aim. Okay, next match, look at that. So this is more or less an entire match. I climbed again a little bit to the side, and this Focke-Wulf sees me coming. And you know, as a normal fighter, you would always want to hold your altitude, wait for the last enemy at altitude to appear, that then you find your position on the battlefield. With this plane, I'm just zooming through, and here you can see I'm going really fast, deploying the air brakes, and yeah, what a shame. I would have killed that guy for sure if those two guys wouldn't have rammed each other. I'm turning around, and look at that energy retention for an attacker. This is just nuts. This is nuts. And now a little bit of spraying here against the PF-109. So there is one kill. Then, oh, what's that? Oh, another German fighter. Let's have a look at it. I can aim with a negative rudder on an attacker. You know, this is something that I wouldn't dare to try in a German fighter. Oh look, my flap got shut off, the inside of my wing is red, my rudder is red, I'm about to die, or am I? There is no chance I can survive that, can I? Well, I can. So that was the help by, I guess, a P-47. Yeah, and I can go back to the airstrip and repair. Let's have a look at that. So here I cut a little bit of the boring part out where I went back to base. So I love the plane. I think it has the highest potential game influence for most of the planes in the French tech tree. It has just so much character, it has a lot of survivability, it can take the damage, it can bring the pilot home safe, and you can join the fight later on. It can turn fight the enemy, it can boom summon the enemy. You just have to play it right, and this is where a lot of the players play it wrong. They just it's not directly a fighter. Let's put that out of the calculation. But it can perform. And I had the best time so far in any of the French planes with this plane. So I climbed up back to altitude again in an attack. And there is the last enemy player. Okay, it's Focke-Wulf. And here is my usual approach. So I could choose a head-on, but that would be stupid because I don't think he has the energy to zoom climb me. So I go a little bit to the side, retract the flaps again, and then just simply zoom up. He has no chance of putting shots into me because he cannot correct his flying path. And he doesn't have energy retention or energy, you know, producing capabilities like a Yak-3P or a Spitfire. And so I can stall fight a Focke-Wulf easily with this big behemoth of a plane that I just know how it would behave. And yeah, that was misaim. But usually if I would change now positions, I'd be damned in a German plane because that would have been the only possible situation that I could have put shots into him. And I have no idea what he was trying there. And I actually overestimated his climb rate. And I killed him. And that was the carry. That was one of the carries because the other planes went back to base, and you have so often to rely on your other teammates if you're in another attack. But in the 84, you can heavily influence the outcome of the battle, even as a pure fighter, if you're any good. For a beginner, I would not recommend it because beginners look for different playstyles. They also don't know when to disengage out of an unfavorable position or situation. But really, this plane can do everything in my hands. So here is a big chunk ripped out of the research. And I just love it. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you got the message behind this video with all the rambling, but I think I could prove it to you with all the scenes. So please don't forget to give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.